All right, thank you for joining us. This is the virtual college exploration for all West Virginia students, sponsored by West Virginia ACRO and StriveScan. I have just a few housekeeping announcements for you. You can ask questions using the Q&A button. Feel free to type questions to your presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off. The panelists cannot see or hear you, so again, make sure you utilize that Q&A box. This is just one of many of the presentations that are being offered over the next few weeks. So please check out the full schedule at WVACRAO.org. And all sessions are being recorded and will be available at that same website, WVACRAO. And now I'm going to turn it over to our presenters.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Means. I'm the Assistant Director for Enrollment Management at Shawnee State University. Thank you for joining us for our college exploration session, where we'll talk more about undergraduate admission at Shawnee State University. First, I've got my slide up there that's got my name and then also the contact information for our West Virginia representative. Her name is Kelsey Jenkins and her email and phone number are there. We'll also share that at the end of the presentation. Feel free to contact me or Kelsey with any questions that you might have. Kelsey's also here with me today. She's going to be answering some questions behind the scenes. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A and Kelsey will get to those for you. We'll go ahead and dig in with what I like to start off as kind of an introduction or reintroduction to Shawnee State University, just kind of summing up everything that you might want to know about us. At Shawnee State, I think that sometimes whenever I'm presenting, I like for this to be the first slide, the most important slide, and the one that you try to remember if you're thinking about us and the kind of things that we do. First, Shawnee State is an accessible, best value institution. We offer high quality degrees, affordable tuition. We're very student focused, and we're also focused on excellent career outcomes. We are an open access institution, and that means that we do not have a minimum GPA, ACT, test scores for admission. So students at all levels of college readiness have a pathway for admission at Shawnee State. Our application is always free, it's very easy, and we're members of the Common Application. We're also very student focused and we have small classes at Shawnee State. We're a public institution, but we're one of the smaller ones in the state of Ohio. Our student teacher ratio is pretty small, about 16-15 to 1. And we really pride ourselves on our main focus being our students getting taught by our teachers. We do have different opportunities for research on campus and lots of other projects, but our teachers' #1 job at Shawnee State is to teach our students there in the classroom. You'll never have a teaching assistant or GA that teaches or lectures in your class, and your classes will never be so big where there's 250 people in an auditorium and one person in charge of taking attendance and then one person presenting. Your experience definitely won't be like that at Shawnee State. We also offer some really amazing majors at Shawnee State University. A few that I always like to talk about because I think they're great highlights at Shawnee State, but this is definitely not the full list. First, our plastics engineering technology. It's a really, really great program, very hands-on. It's a 4-year degree that we have on campus where students can learn how to make things out of plastics. There's a lot of plastics industry in this area of the country and especially in Ohio. We also have some really excellent health science programs. We offer 2-year and 4-year degree programs in the health sciences, like nursing, occupational therapy, physical therapy, dental hygiene, medical lab technology, radiology, respiratory therapy, and emergency medical technology. We also offer healthcare administration. So if you're very interested in the healthcare field, but maybe don't want to be one of the people that's a nurse right there on the floor, we have a great 4-year program. We also have several different programs in business, including our marketing program, where students get to work directly with our own marketing communications to do a lot of really hands-on cool things with the university. We have a musical theater program in the state of Ohio and in this area. There aren't a lot of 4-year publics that have a BFA in musical theater, but we definitely are one of them. And we're one of the smaller ones, so our students have a great experience and get to have lots of opportunities to be on the stage. We also have a great pre-med program at Shawnee State University. We have students that go on to medical school, PA school, dental school, and our students really get to take advantage of our small class size. It's a great way for students to get to know their professors so they can write them letters of recommendation. And at Shawnee State, we have our own cadaver lab right on campus. So students have the opportunity to work on 3 human cadavers on campus every year. We have a lot of really great programs in teacher education, early childhood, middle, high school education, and we have our own school of education right on campus. It's got convenient parking, and we train a lot of teachers in the Southern Ohio area. We also have, and you may already know this, our nationally ranked game design program. So according to the Princeton Review, out of the entire country, we're ranked in the top 10 this year. And in the last 9 years, we've been ranked in the top 20. So we're very, very proud of that program. We also have a 3+2 occupational therapy program. And for those of you that might not be familiar with that lingo, 3+2, it's actually an opportunity for students to get an undergraduate degree and a master's degree in occupational therapy at Shawnee State by going 5 years. So 2 degrees, 5 years at Shawnee State, which gives students an opportunity to save money, use scholarships for 4 years, and have a great experience on campus. Also, Shawnee State is very affordable. I know for our students that are in West Virginia, a lot of people think automatically that, oh no, it's out of state, it's out of the question. Well, for students living in West Virginia, we have a lot of scholarship opportunities. We have merit-based scholarships for students, West Virginia scholars, and then our base rate for students that qualify for in-state tuition through the West Virginia Scholars Program is pretty low. We also have a tuition guarantee program. So whenever you start at Shawnee State University, your tuition is locked in for 4 years. All right, I'll move right along and talk a little bit more about Shawnee State. This slide is one of my favorite ones. It's kind of a cool graphic to show some other things that Shawnee State is about. And the reason I like it so much is it really does show that Shawnee State is, even though we're smaller, 4-year public in Southern Ohio, might not be very well known, we have a lot of really awesome things for students and great experiences for them, even outside the classroom. In general, we have about 3,400 students on campus whenever you look at our undergrads and our graduate students. We do have 21 intercollegiate men's and women's teams on campus, and we're an NAIA school. So students can get scholarships working with their coaches and being recruited. We do have traditional ones like basketball, track, cross country, tennis, but we've also added bowling, golf, esports, where you can actually play video games and get scholarship dollars and compete against other schools. And then as well as swimming. We actually have our first season of swimmers this year, so we're so excited to have them at Shawnee State. I also like to talk about the different student organizations that we have on campus. Shawnee State, again, even though we're small, we have a lot of really great experiences inside and outside the classroom. We have student organizations that are based on our majors, which means that you could be in the pre-med club, the chemistry club, clubs that go along with teacher education, our selective health sciences, and many, many others. We also have some that are just special interests. So if there's a group of students that might be getting together because they all have similar interests, you could start your own group. Maybe you could join the barbecue club, the hip hop dance club, or you could even be a member of our dungeon crawlers, our game club, and a few others. Lots of really great ones for students to be able to join if they don't want to be thinking about class outside of the classroom. We also have our intermission on campus where students can worship together, and some groups that are based on their religious beliefs so that they can all participate outside of the classroom together. And then we also have some groups with political affiliations, diversity groups, and a lot of other ways for students to express themselves outside of the classroom. Another really great thing about Shawnee State, even though we're a small public in the state of Ohio, is that we have study abroad opportunities. We are members of the International Student Exchange Program, so we have students that go to any other schools that also participate in that exchange. We have some really great summer programs, honors programs that do some study abroad and international travel as a part of their program. And we have something called our Hodgkin Scholarships in our College of Arts and Sciences, which is a pool of money that is dedicated just to students and having those international experiences where they can study abroad or go and see what the world's got going on outside of Shawnee State. I've got a little map here too. It kind of shows us where we are in Southern Ohio. So we are very, very close to the border of West Virginia. It takes a little bit less than an hour for us to get to Huntington. And it's very easy for a lot of our students that live in West Virginia to travel to us. I also like to throw a couple pictures in whenever I present to students and families and counselors so that way it's not too monotonous whenever we're doing all this virtual learning, but you also get to see what it's like to be on campus. This is a picture from our plastics engineering technology lab. We have a lot of state-of-the-art machinery, many partners in the community that continue to donate that to us. And these students right here in the plastics program have excellent job placement rates. It is nearly 100% for our students that are graduating. Usually we have college fairs right on campus where we have many companies that are targeting just our plastics engineering students. Many of our students have really great job offers before they even walk across the stage for graduation. All right, we'll move right along to the application process. Applying to Shawnee State is very easy. We have an online application that's on our main website, shawnee.edu. You can fill that application out there. You do have to create a quick account to fill that out, but that's easy for you to be able to start and stop your application. But when you create that, it really does not take long for you to fill out the application. It's not a very long application at all. Again, we're also members of the Common Application. So if you are applying to multiple schools that might include the Common Application, then you want to definitely include Shawnee State. And even if you go through the Common App, it's still free. After you complete your application, we need just two other things for you to be admitted to Shawnee State. We'll need your high school transcript be sent to Shawnee State. We are very flexible, so our counselors out there, you can fax those, email them, mail them to us in the traditional way, or students that might have them downloaded or in PDFs, you can actually upload them to your application when you apply. But again, very flexible to get those, but we do need your high school transcript. We also need a copy of your ACT or SAT scores. For Shawnee State, we also try to be flexible with this so that students don't have to order multiple copies from all those testing sites and have to pay those additional fees. We will accept those if they're emailed scorecards or on the high school transcript. After you do those three steps, you get accepted to Shawnee State. You receive your admission e-letter to let you know that your status has been updated and you've been accepted. And then we give you access to the My SSU student portal. So we are very excited for students to be able to access that. It's also where you can access your financial aid award package and will be something that you continue to use as a student at Shawnee State. At Shawnee State, we do not have an admissions deadline. We operate on rolling admission. So we have students that apply for fall, spring, and summer, and we release our decisions daily. So once a student has completed their application, as long as we're processing everything, usually takes about 3 to 5 business days when we release those decisions. So you do not have to wait until November 1st, December 1st, January 1st decision date. As you get your credentials in, we'll get your decision out to you. Now you might be wondering, I got accepted in step 4. What is there to do with step 5? But I always like to mention that we do have some selective admission programs. These steps are for general undergraduate admission at Shawnee State, but some of our programs do require an additional application. Those are typically our selective health science applications like OTA, PTA, or 3+2, and our musical theater program. This is just a quick picture from one of our performances, but our musical theater program does require students to audition and an application. And then our health science programs do have minimum requirements for consideration that typically require a minimum ACT score, GPA, some observation hours, and then an additional application. Those applications for our selective health science programs are typically due in the spring. So around February 1st, March 1st, April 1st. All right, we'll move right along. Again, just a quick reminder that we are available on Common Application. This is another picture from campus. This is in our Advanced Technology Center. This is actually right upstairs from the engineering technologies area that I showed you. This is in our gaming area on the engineering side. So we do have 2 4-year degree programs in gaming, one on the fine arts side, so if you're much more interested in the design aspects. And then we have one on the engineering side, which has a lot more of the computer programming in it. This is a renovated space that we have here. This is actually a group workroom. And then right in the same area, we've got a lounge area, several different state-of-the-art classrooms, and all kinds of areas for students to be able to collaborate. And I think that's one of the best things about our program at Shawnee State in game design is that it works a lot like if you are working at a company that does design games. You do have to collaborate and work on projects with other team members to meet your goals and to get those things created. All right, next let's talk about admission at Shawnee State after you've been accepted. As I said, we accept students at all levels of college readiness. So regardless of what your ACT or SAT test score might be, you will have an admission pathway at Shawnee State. first, our students that might not be college ready in math, reading, and English, or two of those three areas, we do require a summer Bridge to Success program. It typically takes about 6 weeks over the summer. This past summer, we did do that online, and in the past, it has been here on campus. The great thing about this program is that it only costs our students a $50 registration fee. Books are provided, tuition is provided, and for students that might be from out of the area, they actually get to live on campus for free too. So it's a really excellent program. Students get to participate a little bit ahead of time of other students arriving on campus in the fall. They get to meet other students. They get a chance to get their developmental coursework out of the way and get that completed all before they start in the fall. Our next pathway is through our general studies pathway, and that's for students that might just have one developmental area that they need to do a little bit of work in. Those students will go ahead and start in the fall. They'll start off in an area called general studies, and that means that they'll need to complete their developmental coursework before they're able to go ahead and select their major at Shawnee State. Now, that is definitely not meant as a punishment for our students. It is definitely a way for students to be able to get that developmental class out of the way and get on their right academic pathway and get everything completed before they dig into their major classes. But the other good thing is that if you're college ready in English and you're just getting caught up on math in your English classes, you can go ahead and start taking those degree requirements. We have extra advising that goes along with our summer bridge program and our general studies program. And again, student success is the main goal for that. We don't want to take anybody that might not be ready for a course and just drop them in so that they're over their head in the water. We want to make sure that students are going at the right pace and getting into the classes that they're ready for, because we want everybody to be successful. Finally, we have our college ready admission. Typically, we'll look at your ACT or SAT scores. For ACT, students that have an 18 in math, reading, and English are considered college ready at Shawnee State. So you'll be able to declare your major, move right into that program during your first semester, and go ahead and start working on your general education requirements and go ahead and start working on your major requirements. All right, we'll move right along here and we'll talk a little bit about scholarship opportunities at Shawnee State. At Shawnee State, again, we have pretty affordable tuition, even for out-of-state students, but we do have a couple scholarship deadlines that we do have coming up. Our first one is what we call our early consideration deadline. That is coming up in December 1st. And we have that deadline in there and we call it early consideration because we want to make sure that we're preparing your financial aid award package for you as early as possible. So any student that has their December 1st of their application in by December 1st and has filed their FAFSA, you'll get your full financial aid award, your scholarships, your grants, and your loans available for you to view by mid-January. And again, it's a very important thing for us to be affordable for students, but we want to make sure you're armed with that information before you start making your final decisions. I'm sure that you probably have your counselors talking about this already, but we highly encourage students that are in their senior year to go ahead and start filling out your FAFSA if you haven't already. It became available on October 1st. And many of our students that fill out the FAFSA may get selected for the verification process or might be first generation students. So it's a very unfamiliar process. So we highly recommend for students to do that as early as they can. So if there is additional documentation to provide, you can go ahead and get that taken care of well before the first payment deadline and most of the time before your first decision, so that way you have a really great picture of your costs. Our next deadline is on January 15th, and then our final deadline is May 1st. So any student that might try to improve their scores or have a GPA that goes up, or any students that might be applying at the last minute, we do award scholarships all the way up until May 1st. Our picture we've got over here to the right is from our new student orientation 2 years ago. We did do online orientation this past summer, but if things would go better, we might be able to do our orientations in person again. All right, I wanted to go ahead and show everybody what our scholarship matrix look like. Again, this is not just for Ohio students, this is for any student that's coming out of high school and applying for admission. Scholarships start at a 3.2, oops, sorry about that, a 3.2 GPA and a 21 ACT. So they start at $2,000 and they go all the way up to $5,500 for the year. These are based on the academic year, so it is a full tuition, a full year scholarship. So for example, the $2,000 scholarship would be $1,000 a year off your tuition and fees. We do allow students to, again, we know the ACT is SAT and SAT are sometimes hard to come by right now, but students that have taken the ACT or SAT multiple times, we will always use the highest score. Students that have a weighted GPA that's higher, we will always use that for consideration there. And again, if you do have your GPA increase between the first time that you apply and our May 1st deadline, go ahead and send a new transcript into us so we can update that award before school gets started. We also have these to be renewable. So students that start at Shawnee State during their first year, as long as you maintain a 3.0 average over your full academic year each year, you'll continue to qualify for these scholarships for 4 years. All right, we'll move right along here and talk a little bit about our tuition and fees at Shawnee State. And I do have our Ohio residents and our out-of-state residents listed here. Students that have permanent residency in the state of West Virginia are considered out of state. But as I said, we do have a couple of options we're going to talk about in just 1 minute about our West Virginia Scholars Program, and of course, our merit scholarships that we have over there. This is just an estimate based on our fall 20 tuition, housing, and meal plan. We do require for students to live on campus their first academic year if they live outside of 25 driving miles. This housing cost and this meal plan are based on what would be our average choices for our students on campus. Now, one thing that I'm going to talk about in a minute too is our really exceptional apartment-based housing. I think everybody will really like that. And a lot of times it's not the reason students choose Shawnee State, but it can be the deal breaker. If they've got a couple schools that they're interested in and then they see our housing, then they get very excited and they really want to participate, or they really want to be a part of our student life and live in those apartments. Now that we can kind of see where our tuition falls, I do want to talk about our West Virginia Scholars Program. Our West Virginia Scholars Program is there to help students that might be out of state, but to help bring things back into reach for students that don't want to pay the out-of-state fees. We know that sometimes that can prohibit students from choosing certain schools, so we want to make sure there's a process in place here. At Shawnee State, for students that have an 18 composite score or higher on their ACT and just a 2.75 on a 4.0 scale, qualify for in-state tuition. So we scholarship away the out-of-state costs, which is usually over $6,000. If you do qualify for this scholarship, where you have an 18 and that 2.75, you would qualify for in-state tuition for the year, which is about $8,600. So that's a really great lower cost compared to our out-of-state tuition. And then for many of our students, you could qualify for one of the merit-based scholarships that I said. Again, a 3.2 and a 221 ACT will help you qualify for that. And of course, we have many students that qualify for full Pell Grants, students that qualify for loans and different things like that. And then we also have our Friends of SSU scholarship. So for students that might be living in housing, that might still have a gap and need a little bit of extra help, we can sometimes award those on a case-by-case basis as our need-based aid, because we do have some students that no matter how everything adds up, there's still a gap that they're trying to meet to go to the school that really is their first choice. So we do try to help students with that. All right, next, let's go ahead and talk. I know I mentioned this a little bit, but I like to talk about it again. Our Shawnee Advantage, our tuition is locked in whenever you come to Shawnee State. So is your housing if you're in the same type of room every year. So if you know you qualify for the West Virginia Scholars, you know you qualify for a merit-based scholarship, you qualify for a full Pell Grant or a partial Pell Grant 1 year, and your financial situation doesn't change from year to year. And as long as you can maintain those scholarships, you know exactly what your costs are each year, as long as there's not a big change in your financial situation. You do not have to fill out an application to qualify for the Shawnee Advantage. You do not have to check a box on the application, nothing like that. All of our students, whenever they start, are automatically qualified for our tuition advantage. All right, let's dig a little bit more into housing, especially for our students that are anxious to go away for college. At Shawnee State, we're very lucky. We're a younger 4-year university. We became a full university in 1986. So we got to learn a lot whenever we were building our residence halls. We have a couple different styles of residence halls on campus, but they are all apartment or townhouse style. Our apartment style housing is pictured here. This is our campus view. We've got 13 campus view buildings. All of them have apartments inside the buildings. And inside the buildings, there's a furnished kitchen, a living room, at least 2 bathrooms, and then 2 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms. Another really great thing about Shawnee State is that, again, we only require students to live on campus their first year during their freshman year, but we have enough housing where students can live on campus all 4 years if they want to. And we do have students that do that. They move in, fall in love with where they are, and they don't even want to move their space. So they reserve the same room every single time. But we also have single rooms, single bedrooms for students in the apartments, which a lot of students really love. And those single bedrooms that we have on campus are not out of range for our first year students. A lot of times at schools, students might talk about wanting to have their own room as a first time freshman. And some people might say, oh, that's out of the question. Those are all reserved for upper class students. That is definitely not the case at Shawnee State. We do have apartments inside our campus view that have 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And again, all the bathrooms are contained right inside our residence halls. So that's a really great way for students to be able to still get the full experience, but they've really got their own apartment when they're here on campus. In addition to having all those furnishings, they could have their own room again or a roommate. We also have traditional setups for our residents' life. So there are resident assistants that do live in all the residence halls. So if a student might get locked out of their room or something like that, there's somebody there to assist them at all times. Public safety, of course, is available right there on our small campus as well. And we have some, of our themed housing. So for some of our students that might be interested in gaming or honors or health sciences, we have different parts where you can actually live with other people that have similar interests to you. So that's a really exciting way for students to, really explore what they're interested in at school, but also meet some other students that are interested there too. And also share their room with somebody that's like-minded when it comes to major. All right, this slide I like to share. This is from our College Colors Day. I know right now for a lot of our seniors, whenever they're doing their college search, it's really hard to imagine what it's like being on campus right now. Some campuses are all online. Some campuses have mostly online. Some are kind of hybrid. And Shawnee State has been doing our very best to make sure that students are being safe, but are trying to make sure that students are also being able to participate in student life and do a lot of really fun things. This is just an example of kind of what it looks like this semester on campus with our students wearing masks and distancing, but we've tried for it not to stop our athletics and to stop some of our other activities. We're of course following social distancing, having mask requirements, doing testing and contact tracing on campus, but we've been trying very hard to keep things as normal as possible on our campus. This kind of goes a little bit more into that, our kind of updates and FAQs. What is campus like this semester and going on there right now? At Shawnee State, again, we're trying to keep everybody safe. We are hosting a dashboard. So if you're wondering how many students might have been tested for coronavirus, it might be positive, what different things are we doing to keep students safe? We do have our Shawnee State Health app that is a part of our Shawnee State University app, and we do have students fill out a short questionnaire and make sure that they're feeling okay before they come to campus. We are offering campus tours. I know not all schools are able to do that, but we're very lucky to be small to be able to accommodate those. So students can visit campus Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock and at 2 o'clock. We do a small presentation in a distance room with an admission officer, and then we show our campus housing and our campus buildings. We get to show our newly renovated athletic center. We do get to show some of our other areas on campus, like our academic buildings, the library, the university center, which is kind of our main hub on campus. And then we do have a showroom in our residence hall. So you are actually able to walk into a residence hall and see exactly what that room looks like. One other question we've been getting a lot, and students, we want them to understand what we're what we're doing for students that can't test, is what if a student can't take the ACT or SAT test, and what does it mean to be test recommended? You might be hearing a lot of schools that are going test optional. We are kind of in between test optional. We're calling ourselves test recommended. At Shawnee State, again, you don't have to have a minimum ACT score or SAT score for admission. So we've always kind of been, doesn't really matter what your score is, which is the kind of test optional. But what we really want is for those scores to come in so we can make sure and place you on the right academic pathway, whether it's our general studies, our summer Bridge to Success program, or whether it's through our college ready pathway. If a student is not able to take the ACT or SAT test, we do have placement tests to help them get placed in math, reading, and English this year. And then we are working on plans for students to see if they would like to raise ACT scores for their scholarships, and then alternative ways for us to see merit for our honors programs and different things that might be impacted by students not being able to take their ACT or SAT test. You're welcome to reach out to Kelsey as the West Virginia representative, and she can help answer some of those questions if you have very specifics about taking the ACT or the SAT test. All right. I'd like to share where you can stay connected to Shawnee State. It's really easy to sign up and get emails from a university. But if you want to really kind of see what's going on and get a look at campus and see some pictures, definitely follow them on social media. And Shawnee State's no different there. You can go to our Facebook page. We have an admissions Facebook page, as well as a university, full wide university Facebook page. Facebook is especially important right now because we are doing some stuff distance. So we do our bingo for our students on campus through there. We're actually hosting a trivia night tonight for student life in our Shawnee State Facebook page. We've got our Instagram for admission, and then also there's one for Shawnee State. And again, so that you can see pictures and different things that are going on campus. And then we also have our Twitter page. So I definitely encourage you to check those out so that way you can kind of see exactly what we've got going on campus from time to time. All right, guys. Well, that completes my presentation that I had. I'm not sure if we're having any questions that are going to pop up here. Doesn't look like we've had any so far. Again, I just want to reiterate, because it is a very common question that we get about the ACT or SAT test. We are making arrangements for students to be able to do those tests through placement tests that we have on campus, free to students. But I did forget to mention about how a student might be able to figure out what pathway they're on if they think their ACT or SAT test is not a good representation of their performance. And that happens from time to time. We do allow students, even if they do have an ACT or SAT test, to go ahead and take a placement test on campus. And by taking that placement test, it can help us determine the perfect place for you to go when it comes to our bridge, general studies, or college ready pathway. Other questions that our students sometimes can get is, how do I get recruited if I'm interested in athletics at Shawnee State? Well, good news about that is our Shawnee State Athletics has their own website, which has got amazing different clips from our teams, news stories about how they're doing, like our first swim meet that we just had last weekend. But you can go to ssubears.com to check out all of our athletics. There is a directory page where you can get the phone number and email address for all of our coaching staff. So you can check that out to see if there is a coach that you'd like to reach out to. Again, you can fill out a Recruit Me form there so that you can get your information to go straight there, or you can contact those coaches directly. And I really highly recommend for students that are interested to definitely give it a shot. Some of our teams are on the younger side, so you never know what positions they might need filled. And it's definitely worth talking about it if you're interested in being a student athlete. In addition to our NAIA sports on campus, we also have intramural sports on campus where you could do dodgeball, basketball, volleyball, different things like that. All right, guys. Well, I think that's probably going to be where we wrap up today. Again, Kelsey Jenkins is your West Virginia representative here on campus. She is definitely the person that you'll want to talk to if you are interested in learning more. I know not a lot of representatives are able to come to some of the high schools and things like that, but Kelsey would be happy to talk with you about all your options at Shawnee State. Kelsey also can refer you to some of our virtual programming that we have. Every week we have a virtual session, very similar to this one, but in smaller groups for students that want to register, where you can actually learn more about the application process. You can learn more about the transfer process if you're going to go to another school and transfer to Shawnee State later on. We have athletic sessions, a financial aid session once a month that's on a Friday, so you can learn more about the FAFSA and financial aid at Shawnee State. We have sessions also that are specific to some of our academics. I know I only had a chance to share a little bit about some of our really great programs, but there are many more to explore at Shawnee State that I didn't have a chance to mention. But we do have some of those different great programs where you can learn about those virtually. All right, I think that probably is going to be where I leave off if there aren't any questions, and I think that we're good to go.
All right, great. Thanks, Amanda. I'm going to wrap up for us really quickly with a few announcements. Again, thank you for joining us this evening. This was just one of the many sessions being offered over the next few weeks. You can check out the full schedule again at WVACRAO.org. When you close this window, there will be a very quick 4-question survey. If you would like to complete that, give us any feedback that you can, that would be really helpful. And again, all of the recordings, not only this session, But all of the sessions over the next 3 weeks will be available to rewatch on our website. Again, that's WVACRAO.org. All right, thanks everybody. Have a good evening.
I guess that means nobody should